Margaret used to tell herself, "It's just a few piles, nothing serious." But when she walked into her living room each morning, the truth was hard to ignore. The table was buried under papers, the sofa held folded laundry that never quite made it to the closet, and boxes sat quietly in the corner like uninvited guests that never left. At first, it didn't seem like much. But slowly, something shifted. Margaret noticed that even on days when she woke up rested, she felt drained before noon. She would sit down to read, and within minutes, her body felt heavy, her mind restless. She wondered, why am I so tired when I haven't done anything yet? Scientists have an answer for her. A study from UCLA Center on Everyday Lives and Families discovered that women who lived in cluttered homes had consistently higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. That means the mess wasn't just in Margaret's home, it was in her body. Every box, every pile, every stack whispered a message her brain couldn't ignore. You're behind. You're not finished. You're not in control. And here's the hard part. When stress hormones rise day after day, they don't just make us feel tired. They can lead to real health risks, higher blood pressure, poor sleep, and even a weakened immune system. That invisible weight of clutter becomes a weight on the body itself. Margaret once told me, "I thought I was getting old. I thought my energy was just disappearing with age. But when I started clearing a little space, I realized it wasn't me. It was the clutter stealing my energy." That's why the silent weight of clutter is so dangerous. It doesn't shout. It doesn't arrive all at once. It builds slowly, until one day you realize you're carrying a heaviness you were never meant to bear. Margaret once opened her closet and found herself staring at a row of dresses she hadn't worn in years. Some were from her teaching days, others from weddings and holidays long past. She touched one of them gently and whispered, "This was who I used to be." For many older women, clutter isn't just things, it's identity. Each object becomes a thread tied to a role we once played, the professional, the mother, the caretaker, the hostess. And letting go feels like erasing a part of ourselves. Psychologists call this self-extension theory. We link objects to our sense of self, so much so that parting with them feels like losing a piece of who we are. That's why Margaret kept shoes she couldn't walk in anymore and handbags she no longer used. They weren't useful, but they reminded her of a time when she felt younger, stronger, or needed. But here's the quiet danger. When we hold on to too many objects from the past, the present begins to fade. Instead of being defined by who we are today, we surround ourselves with who we used to be. And that can make us feel stuck, even invisible in our own lives. Margaret told me, "Every time I opened my closet, I felt guilty. Guilty for not fitting into clothes I once loved. Guilty for not being the woman I once was." But when she started decluttering piece by piece, something surprising happened. She didn't feel smaller, she felt freer. By choosing what to keep, Margaret was choosing who she was becoming. A pair of comfortable jeans, a soft sweater, and a scarf she loved wearing now, that was her real self today. And slowly, she discovered that her identity wasn't in the clutter at all. It was in her choices, her spirit, and her presence in this very moment. Clutter can disguise itself as memory, as love, as identity. But the truth is, you are more than your possessions. Who you are cannot be boxed up or buried in closets. You are here, alive, and deserving of space to breathe. Margaret once confessed to me, "I don't understand why I feel so tired all the time. I sit in my living room and feel drained, even before I've done anything." At first, she thought it was just age catching up. But the truth was in her surroundings. Her living room was filled with stacks of magazines, unfinished craft projects, and boxes of things she meant to get to one day. Every corner whispered, "You're behind. You're not finished. You still have work to do." Science backs this up. Researchers at Princeton University discovered that physical clutter competes for our brain's attention, reducing focus and increasing mental fatigue. It's like having a dozen radio stations playing in your head at once. The more clutter, the more noise. For seniors, this noise isn't just annoying, it's exhausting. The brain has to work harder to filter distractions, leaving less energy for the things that matter, like staying social, enjoying hobbies, or simply resting. Margaret said that even when she sat down to relax, Her eyes would fall on a pile of papers or a bag in the corner, and suddenly she'd feel guilty. The clutter was stealing her rest before she even began. But here's what happened when she cleared just one area: her coffee table. She put away the piles, left only a vase of flowers, and for the first time in years, she said, "I could actually sit and enjoy my tea without my eyes darting everywhere." I felt calm. Clutter doesn't just take up space. It drains your energy, little by little, until you feel worn out before the day has even started. By removing the noise around you, you give your mind the gift of silence, and your body the gift of rest. So when you feel unusually tired, don't just ask yourself if it's age. Ask yourself if your home is weighing on you, too. One afternoon, Margaret told me something that broke my heart. She said, "Sometimes I avoid inviting people over because I don't want them to see my house. The mess makes me nervous, and I feel ashamed." This is the hidden layer of clutter, its impact on stress and anxiety. It's not just about the piles of things. It's about what those piles say to you and how they make you feel about yourself. A UCLA study on middle-aged women found that those who described their homes as cluttered or unfinished had significantly higher levels of cortisol, the body's stress hormone. That stress lingered into the evening, making it harder to relax, harder to sleep, and harder to enjoy life. For seniors, clutter often carries an extra weight: fear of judgment. Margaret admitted she worried her children would see the clutter and think she couldn't manage anymore. She feared they'd talk about moving her out of her home. The anxiety wasn't just about stuff, it was about her independence. And here's the irony: clutter grows worst when we're anxious. Stress makes decision-making harder, so instead of clearing things, we avoid them. The more we avoid, the more clutter grows. And the more clutter grows, the more anxious we feel. It becomes a cycle that traps us. But Margaret's turning point came when she cleared one small space by her front door. Suddenly, guests could walk in without stepping over bags or boxes. She told me, "It was the first time in years I felt proud to open my door." That small act chipped away at her anxiety. Clutter whispers lies. You're failing. You're behind. You're not enough. But the truth is, you are more than capable. And every bag donated, every drawer cleared, is not just about tidying your house, it's about loosening anxiety's grip on your heart. Decluttering isn't just for your home. It's for your peace of mind. One of the most sobering moments in my conversations with Margaret came when she admitted something she hadn't told her children. She said, "I tripped on a pile of shoes in my hallway last winter. I didn't tell anyone because I was embarrassed." Falls are the leading cause of injury among seniors, according to the CDC. And in many cases, the culprit isn't weakness or age, it's clutter. Boxes in walkways, piles of magazines, loose rugs, or even chairs placed in the wrong spot can all become hazards. The National Council on Aging reports that 1 in 4 seniors experiences a fall each year, and clutter significantly increases the risk. And it's not just about physical injury. After a fall, many older adults begin to lose confidence. They avoid walking around their own homes. They feel less independent. That loss of freedom can weigh heavier than the fall itself. Margaret told me that after her trip in the hallway, she began avoiding that part of the house altogether. Imagine that, being afraid of a corner of your own home. But things changed when she tackled her walkways first. She cleared out the shoes, donated extra furniture, and rolled up the rug that had been sliding under her feet for years. She told me, "I didn't realize how much safer I'd feel until I could walk freely again." And here's the truth: safety decluttering doesn't take weeks. It can be done in a single afternoon. Walk through your home with fresh eyes, as if you were visiting for the first time. Notice every tripping hazard. Ask yourself, would I want my grandchild walking here? Would I feel safe walking this path at night? Clutter can quietly steal your independence, but clearing it can give it back. It's not just about making your home look better, it's about making your home a place where you can live confidently, without fear of injury. Because the greatest gift decluttering gives isn't an empty space, it's freedom to move safely in the life you've built. When I asked Margaret what room she avoided the most, she sighed and said, "The spare bedroom. It's where I put everything I can't deal with." When we opened the door, I understood. The room was filled with boxes, baby clothes, old holiday decorations, piles of letters and photographs, even toys from when her children were young. Margaret whispered, "It feels like if I let go of these things, I'll lose the people and the moments tied to them." This is what psychologists call emotional attachment clutter. It's not the physical object itself that's heavy, it's the meaning we attach to it. Every sweater, every card, every photo says, "Remember this. Don't forget." But here's the paradox: when everything is saved, nothing stands out. Memories get buried under mountains of things, and instead of celebrating them, we end up feeling guilty and overwhelmed. Researchers at Princeton University found that clutter competes for our attention. That means when sentimental clutter fills our homes, it doesn't just take space, it takes focus and emotional energy, too. Margaret told me she used to open a box of old photos but close it within minutes, because the weight of deciding what to keep or let go was too much. She said, "Instead of joy, I felt sadness. I didn't want to remember." But here's the shift. With gentle guidance, Margaret chose a small memory box. In it, she kept a few precious items: her husband's watch, her daughter's graduation photo, and a letter from her late mother. She donated or recycled the rest. At first, she cried. But later, she told me, "Now, when I look at what I kept, I smile. I actually see the memories instead of drowning in them." And that's the secret. Decluttering memories doesn't erase your past, it allows the best of it to shine brighter. If you're facing your own boxes of memories, here's what helps. Choose your container first. Limit yourself to one box, one shelf, or one album. Pick what truly makes your heart lift, not what makes you feel guilty. Release the rest with gratitude. You're not throwing away love, you're making space for it to live more freely. Decluttering sentimental items isn't about letting go of people or moments. It's about letting go of the weight, so you can carry the joy more lightly into today. When I sat with Margaret in her living room, she admitted something that struck me. She said, "I thought clutter was just emotional. I never realized how much it was costing me." And she wasn't wrong. Studies from UCLA and the National Association of Professional Organizers show that clutter leads to real financial losses, especially for seniors. Here's how. Duplicate purchases. Margaret confessed she had bought the same kitchen gadget 3 times because she couldn't find the original. Researchers estimate the average household wastes hundreds of dollars every year buying duplicates of items they already own. Missed payments. Remember the stacks of paper. Bills can get buried. Margaret once paid a late fee on her electric bill because the notice was lost under catalogs. For seniors on fixed incomes, these small fees add up fast. Storage costs. Across the US, seniors spend billions each year renting storage units, not for treasures, but for boxes they rarely open. Margaret laughed bitterly and said, "I've been paying for a unit for 8 years. I can't even remember what's inside." Hidden maintenance costs. Cluttered spaces hide problems. A leaking pipe under boxes, pests nesting in piles, furniture wearing down faster because it's overloaded with things. All of these can quietly drain money. But here's the bigger truth. Clutter costs us not only in dollars, it costs us opportunities. Margaret realized she wasn't hosting family dinners anymore because her dining table was covered. She wasn't enjoying hobbies because she couldn't find her supplies. She said, "When I cleared the clutter, I realized I had been paying for a life I wasn't even living." Experts recommend a simple approach to stop financial drain. Do a duplicate sweep. Before buying something new, check if you already own it. Create one bill station. All incoming bills go to one folder or tray. Question storage. If you haven't touched it in a year, ask if it's worth the monthly fee. Think of money as time. Every dollar spent on clutter is time lost that could be spent on experiences, health, or joy. Margaret told me, after decluttering, she saved nearly $1,000 in a single year. Not because she made more money, but because she stopped losing it to clutter. She smiled and said, "It felt like I gave myself a raise just by letting go." And that's the lesson. Clutter isn't just stealing your peace, it's stealing your wallet. By clearing it, you protect not only your space but your financial future. By now, you've seen the truth. Clutter doesn't just sit quietly in the corner. It steals energy, peace, health, safety, and even relationships. But here's the good news: it doesn't have to stay that way. Margaret once told me, "I thought decluttering meant losing pieces of my life. But now I see, it's about gaining my life back." So how do you take this path without feeling overwhelmed? Experts suggest 3 simple principles. 1. Start small, but start now. Don't wait for the perfect weekend or the perfect mood. Pick one drawer, one nightstand, one shelf. Just 5 minutes of progress can spark momentum. Small victories build confidence, and confidence builds change. 2. Create gentle routines. Instead of thinking of decluttering as a one-time event, weave it into daily life. For example, clear the kitchen counter before bed. Toss old mail the moment it arrives. Hang up your coat right away. These little habits compound into lasting freedom. 3. Focus on what supports your life today. The past has shaped you, but the present is where you live. Ask yourself, does this item serve me now? Does it make my life easier, safer, or lighter? If the answer is no, then letting it go is an act of kindness to yourself. And here's one more secret: you don't have to do this alone. Involve your loved ones. Invite a friend. Even share your journey with others, because support makes the load lighter. Margaret, who once felt trapped by clutter, now says her home feels like a sanctuary. She hosts Sunday dinners again. She sleeps better. And she told me, "I feel proud of my home for the first time in decades." That's what I want for you. A life with more breathing room, more peace, and more space for the moments that matter most. So tonight, before you go to bed, I challenge you, choose one spot and clear it. Just one. Tomorrow, notice how it feels. That small spark could be the start of a home and a life that finally feels lighter. Because clutter doesn't have to define your senior years. Peace, joy, and freedom can. And it all starts with one simple choice today.